Is your portfolio ready for a market shift? We've got a lot to cover today. It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Hey guys, if you liked the video, give it a like. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. We've been nailing this market here lately. Absolutely cleaning house. We'll talk about a lot of stuff here today, but first, beautiful gap down here, and you saw some awesome day trades in the trading room, covering a short SQQQ this morning, flipping long off the lows, and yeah, again at 635. So very nice trades here going off to start off the month of September. Also nicely in the money on our gold trade. I talked about this last week. Somebody was building an aggressive out of the money position here, and this was kind of signaling to me that there was probably going to be some market problems. In fact, if you take a look here, gold versus S&P, this gold stopped pumping right as soon as the market bottomed, and now that it's breaking out, what's happening? S&P going down. So definitely a bit of a risk-off signal there, and yeah, that was definitely picked up by our dashboard. And yeah, now it's looking like 330 GLD is probably the target here. 325 may be it for tomorrow, but into the end of the week, I think 330 is it. I also think that's possibly a hard cap. We'll talk about that when we cover gold later. We got a lot to talk about with the spiders, though. Beautiful move down. We talked about this. All right, it's very important. It's so important. So when I say market shift, it's very important to understand why dips got supported. I've talked about this many times, but why dips got supported the whole way up, right? Just because they've supported the dip before doesn't mean that it's going to continue to happen. You have to understand why it's being supported. Because when it's not going to be supported, then you know that it won't be, and you can be ready for it. A lot of people bought the dip Friday, right? How do I know that? Because they got locked out. A lot of people tried to buy the dip this morning too. They got run over here as well on the Qs. Now we are, floating back up. I talked about this, I even tweeted about it this morning, saying that we're likely going to see some mean reversion into the afternoon. And yeah, that was really the case here. But, kind of no panic, orderly bleed out type selling. And you had the slight higher low from the Russell and the Qs intraday versus the S&P, which was, a good sign for bulls. But nonetheless here, don't assume that the dip will automatically be bought. Why? Because I've been telling you guys for weeks and weeks and weeks, dealers stop hedging up. Once we got close to 6,500, that's it. They're done. And it's what changed, right? I mean, CNBC all day today. Oh, why are we selling off? Why are we selling off? Narrative follows price, right? Now they're trying to figure out it's because of tariffs, it's because of this, it's because of that. It's because of Taiwan semi, this, that, and the other thing. There was rumors about NVIDIA with their... Look, it's just as simple as we hit the max level, and dealers are shorting futures. So, the narrative will follow. They tried talking about a Trump health scare this morning, right? They have to have a story to put on this stuff. But all that matters here is that, that's the force in the market. And dips aren't going to be supported as easily. It doesn't mean it can't be bought, but it's not going to be that auto bid. Now, we saw, a decent amount of strength intraday on the Qs today. Why? Because we gapped right into the 50 MA. I mean, I would have been shocked if we didn't at least bounce off of that. And tomorrow, unless we see like a huge gap down, like below the low, I think we'll see a pause day. We'll probably pin to around 6,400. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, you guys know, I showed you guys this stuff like all the time throughout the summer. You can't make it up, right? I mean, I tweeted about this too. There's SPY, right? The call premium. The entire rally up, it was the opposite. They shorting the whole way up, and now everybody's buying. So yeah, I mean, it's funny how psychology works, but that's markets for you. Now, a couple other things before I forget. I do want to get to the other side here. Yeah, so this Friday, if you guys remember last month, this is obviously a jobs week. Last month we had a huge miss, right? And that's what caused that little 3% drop in like 2 days. But look at the payroll estimates now. So now they basically just put it in line with last month. Look, Trump fired the head of the BLS over this stuff. So I don't know. If I were a betting man, I would say there's no way in hell that that number is going to do anything other than be like a 5 sigma beat. Like, be prepared for the most cooked number you've ever seen in your life. So, depending on how we trade into Friday, I could see another right tail. So there's that as well. Now, does that result in a lower high? That's the question. Last week, QQQ was the first week since the lows that we did not make a new high. So we are seeing that weakness in the NASDAQ. And as long as that's the case and continues to be the case, you have to, you have to give bears the benefit of the doubt here for right now. We talked about the raid on Friday. There's a lot of complacency. Everybody assumed that there was nothing that could go wrong until after Labor Day. But the market's not going to make it that easy. One of the things I also will be watching here is the Russell. This year, in fact, let me go back to SPX. This whole year really reminds me a lot of 2020, right? Top at Feb OPEX, massive swoon, V-shaped lockout rally, right? Top Feb OPEX, massive swoon, V-shaped lockout rally. But what is interesting to me and what I'll be watching very closely is how does the Russell perform in this, if we get a correction, again, maybe with bottoms in, we go up to 6,800, like, you guys were predicting, 2 days ago. But if we get the correction I think we're going to get, does it look kind of like this? With the Q's on too. So notice how the Russell underperformed the entire... All right, let me get rid of the Q's because it's going to skew everything. Sorry. Notice how the Russell underperformed the entire way up, but then once the S&P topped, the Russell started to put in higher lows and higher highs, whereas the S&P kind of almost hit a double bottom. And you can see, well, I guess let's try to put the QQQ on there. Skewed, but yeah, you can kind of see it. But lower high versus higher high. You get my point. Russell here is not down that much. Qs are down 1%. IWM down 70 basis points. Dow down 77. SPY down 96. The Russell's down less than everything right now. That's, if that continues, and we've seen that trend lately, if that continues, we see we could still see a pullback, but higher low, higher high versus maybe the Qs or the spiders, lower lows, lower highs. It tells us that small cap rally could actually continue, maybe at the end of the year, and maybe have a breakout. Been in a base for a long time. So just some food for thought here moving forward. But yeah, lots to cover, but there's a lot going on here. Short term though, yeah, I would not assume that dips are just going to be supported. We are in negative gamma. So be careful. Don't just trust supports. Market has to reclaim prior supports. I'm not bidding levels outright unless we get ridiculously stretched. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think we're in for 6,400 pin for the most part, unless we get something else that gaps us down in the overnight. Honestly, for bears though, I don't think you even want us to do anything tomorrow. I think you just want sideways. But yeah, Q's 560 support right now. IWM didn't even test 230, so we're not going to worry about that. And then the diamond here 450. SMH down 1.65, again 280, obvious level there. And then you have the broadening pattern below that. IGV gap down, but it does have room for a higher low. Transports were weak earlier, but you still have a bull inside bar on the daily chart. I don't like that bear rejection though. Rates here were up. So bonds got crushed. TLT whacked down 1.25. Again, I've said this 1,000 times, but just because the Fed cuts rates at the short end doesn't mean TLT goes up. ZB getting hit pretty good too. XHB down, but came off the lows, still holding the daily inside bar there, and then IYR failure there, so be careful with that. All right, XLF, again, getting hit, down 1%, but came off the lows. Goldman and JPM try to see a little bit of dip buying here, but they definitely look a little tired to me at these levels anyway. KRE down 56 cents, and then broker dealers, again, down but off the lows. Oil upticking as well, and this has been going up with kind of bad news too, so this is holding up nicely. was actually kind of hoping this would firm up a little bit more. I was looking to maybe put on a quick long, but it took off nicely in the overnight. You also had XLE leading that with the breakout last week. XOP, I love that. Gap down. You know, prior day was green, gap down, and then close green. Aggressive. I like it. OIH down, but still got a lot of resistance at that 260 area. Dollar in a tight range here. Not much to say. I mean, this should break soon, and it probably will break with non-farm payroll. Gold we talked about. The only thing I don't like about this right now is for the first time in a long time, I'm seeing like really, really giddy sentiment in precious metals. And I haven't seen that in years, like literal years, like probably since like 2020, honestly. Like even up here, the reason for it, I mean, look at GDX, right? At the time it was still like way off of all-time highs. It's now about to make a new all-time high. I'm seeing this like gold rush go on here. Just throwing it out there. Yes, beautiful bull pattern. Yes, beautiful bull pattern. Let's go to the monthly. Parabolic RSI approaching 90. Be careful here. Don't be exit liquidity. I traded through gold and silver in 2011. So the one thing I will say though, silver structurally is much better than it was in 2011, right? Look at where the base broke out from back then. 3, 6, like 9 candles before it actually, monthly candles before it got to 40. Look at this base, breakout, base again, breakout. So this is not nearly as stretched as it was back then. So this may have some staying power, but definitely going to be cautiously optimistic here. And I do think 330 GLD holds for now, by the way. Platinum, nice move. Be careful though. It loves to fake people out. Palladium, nice pop as well. And then copper, yeah, it got that contract roll last week, and now it's actually moving like we thought it would. So, lastly, Bitcoin getting a bounce. This is I think crypto might fake people out a little bit, fake bears out a little bit this week. Although I do think it ends up putting in a lower high. So we may bounce a little bit here this week. ETH kind of flat to lower. Got to hold this green bar low though. But yeah, all the alts kind of moving here. So I think we'll get some sort of mean reversion, but I do think it will be a setup for a little bit more of a corrective move. So S&P here, market's closing in about 40 minutes. We'll be pinned to about 6,400 right now. So far, it looks like the dip was bought, but really we're still down 1%. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think honestly for bears, you don't really want, you didn't want us to keep selling here today. You'd actually prefer some more chop. Digest that sell move, work through this this demand zone with some consolidation instead of trying to knife down like what happened here. You tried to knife down too quickly, and of course, boom, V-shape. But we'll see. Thursday, Friday are definitely going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see how we trade into that. There could be a right tail, but maybe it flips. The hedging does not look good from what I've seen so far, but I just can't shake the idea that they won't cook the absolute hell out of that jobs number. Maybe it ends up, maybe the market says it's bearish because the yields go up. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's it for today. You guys take care. Have a good one. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.